This is Greg Tingle back with Media Man Australia and Australian Sports Entertainment. We're speaking with Dan the Beast Severn, living legend of professional wrestling, UFC, MMA, and a man of many talents, one certainly not to mess with. Dan, welcome back to the program. We've been discussing all sorts of things, the history of wrestling, MMA, a lot of changes happening in the world of combat sports and wrestling at the moment. New promotion, AEW. The NWA is making a revival that you've got a lot of history with, and your longtime rival Ken Shamrock is starting up the Valor Bare Knuckle promotion. What's your thoughts on these new and exciting developments in the world of pro wrestling and MMA?
Well, I'll just say that right now that bare knuckle boxing is really making a resurgence right now. I think it's something different for the combat fan. It really hasn't been, I should say, it's been around forever, but I think it really kind of went very low-keyed, almost extinct at one point.
Or almost underground. I think there's been some underground matches, like they say, the first rule of Fight Club is there is no Fight Club, don't mention it. The movies are sometimes true, right?
Yes, perfect way of saying it right there. The quote from the movie, you bet. But no, you're seeing more and more of the bare knuckle boxing coming out.
Yeah.
I really think, Greg, when you watch like a mixed martial arts match, or when most fans watch a mixed martial arts match, they enjoy what they're seeing on their feet, because on their feet there is striking taking place with the hands. So there's strike with the hands, there's elbows, there's kicks with the feet, there's leg thrusts, there's knees, there's elbows. But the moment that they end up in that clinch, whether it be the clinch out in the open or whether they clinch and they stuff each other up against that cage wall, or even in a takedown situation, a lot of folks just do not understand what is happening in those close quarter combatives. If there was some way, which I think there will be down the road, because you see the way that the gaming industry continues to evolve, and you now have all kinds of sensors. I think eventually there will be this Ultimate Fighting Championship game that you can put these little circular electronic discs at different points on your body.
Oh,
to where
personal technology, virtual reality sort of
yes,
stuff.
Exactly. You have the goggles on. You're gonna have these little electronic discs, so that as you're standing there and you actually see that you're standing inside this cage, and you can pick out whichever opponent you want to go against. And all of a sudden, let's say he throws a roundhouse kick at you, and all of a sudden, 3 different electrodes get fired up on your body, and all of a sudden you feel your whole body get pulled into, get pulled on the side like you just got kicked into the rib cage. And then I really think that
I think
is
you
what's
need to
going to
meet
happen.
up with these gaming companies and tell them this, and have I think you might be onto something here.
Oh no, it's there. With the technology that exists right now, they can do this right now. The thing is, the liability, because you got to look at it. You might have someone that might have, say, a bad ticker, and then they're drinking the beer and they're smoking the cigarettes, and they're not the best of health.
Next thing they're having a heart attack.
Exactly, and then they're going to try to sue. They'll say that, I was in my living room eating my potato chips, minding my own business, and they're going to Dan Severn suplex me in this virtual reality thing, and I died.
Well, I'll tell you what, if such a game happens sometimes, it'll probably further raise the level of respect that the general public start to understand about mixed martial arts, because people see it on TV and so on, but I always tell my mates there's nothing like getting in the ring and having a go yourself, even if you're past your prime, but having some grappling rounds, having a couple of boxing rounds, your heart starts firing, your arms are getting sore, but people watch it on TV and they don't understand like the physical exertion that's involved.
Yeah. Well, just in a normal grappling match, it's like doing isometric exercise, because you're going up against another object that is not wanting to yield to you.
Yes.
So whether that be a tie-up, pushing, I mean, because you're using your arms, your back, your legs, your calves, and it's really important to have some type of a cardiovascular foundation, because if you don't, I mean, well, again, in the professional terminology, it's called being blown up or getting winded. Well, it's the same thing in actual combat arts. You better have a good cardiovascular base, because if you don't, well, as the cliche goes, the lack of cardiovascular preparation makes cowards of us all.
I've heard that one, and I've felt it as well. I was doing some training with the somewhat legendary Father Dave Smith in Australia, out in the western suburbs, and just having a few rounds of boxing with him. He was for many years the oldest professional boxer in Australia, and he's extremely fit. So even though he's about roughly just a touch under 60, I think, he's going up against teenagers, and teenagers are like blowing up after about 3 rounds with Dave Smith. So it's incredible.
Well, he's my same age then. You said he's 60?
Yeah, around 60. Yeah, but he trains so ferociously. Running out of gas is not his problem, but he's had a few blows to the head, as a lot of boxers have over the years, so he's just got to take it easy. Yeah.
Yep.
Even sparring. As we know, that injuries occur in training. Have you suffered a few injuries in training, or have they mainly happened when you've been in wrestling or MMA, or all the above?
All the above. I mean, it's you're only as good as your workout partners. You have to, and you have to have workout partners that have controllability.
Yeah.
Again, as you announced, I've had multiple careers. Ironically, I've been an amateur wrestler, folk style wrestler, freestyle wrestler, Greco-Roman wrestler, judo practitioner, sambo practitioner, tough man competitor, no-holds barred competitor, mixed martial arts competitor, and ironically, through all of this, I've been hurt far worse in professional wrestling than anything else.
I've heard that story before. I mean, some of those bumps are just incredible, and I mean, just stuff happens. And even if the other guy's another top flight wrestler, even if they're one of the best in the world, injuries still occur.
Well, here, the Hart family are a phenomenal reputation, and here I am in the hands of Owen Hart.
Oh yes.
And basically, I get dropped on my head. The combination, I'm a lot heavier than what I think Owen guesstimated, and Owen also had some baby oil on his body to a combination of baby oil and some heat elixir, so that it brings up the shine of the muscles and things of nature.
The television and the crowd, yeah.
Yeah, so as he hoisted me on up, I mean, I slide a little further south than what I'm supposed to. So when we go down, I hit the top of my head. I felt a bolt of lightning run down my leg and stuff like that. And he kind of freaked out, and I knew I had feelings stuff like that, but it's still that was a scary moment for me, because I had not heard of the story of what happened to Steve Austin previously. I was not aware of that. Otherwise, I probably would have said no. I would not take a maneuver like that from him.
I was going to bring that up, because I was going to say, if you told that story to Steve Austin over a beer or even a coffee or something, you might get a bit of a response, because of course, the world lost Owen Hart, one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
But even the best in the world can sometimes make errors. And also, in the so-called conspiracy version of professional wrestling, sometimes it's been said some wrestlers have been known to fake injuries for whatever reason, if they were trying to get out of a contract or change promotions. I mean, a lot of the times wrestlers are also carrying injuries which they don't disclose. And of course, wrestlers sometimes take some painkillers to mask the injuries so they can live to fight another day. But yeah, even the best in the world get injured. And it just shows you what a tough profession it is, Dan.
Well, just to play off of what you just said there, Greg, I have outlived 6 of my cage fighting opponents thus far.
Yeah.
And just over 30 of my professional wrestling opponents.
Wow, so...
And none of them, here's a real kicker, none of them were as old as me.
Wow. So...
It's called, that's a combination of lifestyle and lifestyle choices, like I said before. If you're underneath contract, we'll say a company like the WWE, formerly known as WWF,
Yep.
You are slated to wrestle 187 matches a year.
That doesn't... Yeah, even being on the road that long, in and out of hotel rooms, let alone the physical bumps and the toll actually encountered in the ring, most people wouldn't want to be travelling the world enjoying themselves that long, let alone getting thrown around the ring for a living.
Yep. And if you're one of the stars, you don't know that much more because there's more promotional type of work that you have to do. The upcoming Royal Rumble, the upcoming WrestleMania, there's more things that you have to be involved in. So
that's right. And just like we're doing this interview tonight, like we're doing this interview tonight at 6:30 p.m. Sydney, Australia. If you were with the WWE and the Super Show came back to Australia or whatever, or you're on the world tour, you might have like 3 or 5 of these interviews, more of them to do tonight, and then a couple more tomorrow morning. In the meantime, you've got to go to the gym, you've got to have breakfast, you've got to get ready for the match, you've got to do TV interviews, and it's just like no room for a breather.
And it's also the time zone difference. To give you a classic example, I left Phoenix, Arizona, and Sydney, Australia is 17 hours ahead of Phoenix, Australia. So you have to adjust your time to train at the same time that you're going to be performing.
And the long flight, and airline food, and trying to get out of Sydney airport and everything at the same time.
Yep. There's a lot of moving parts. People just don't realize. They all think that there's a lot of people that would like to become a professional wrestler, or they would like to become a mixed martial arts champion, things of that nature. But are they willing to pay the price? Are they willing to sacrifice time away from family and friends and dedicated to working out and honing your craft and studying film on an opponent, studying film on your professional wrestling proteges, and to see where are the weaknesses, what are their strengths, stay away from their strengths and try to attack weaknesses. So there's so much, the diet, the nutrition, and doing it all on the road is not an easy task. Just to me, just the miles up and down the road is just incredible.
Well, the old expression, travelling is hard work. So even when you're on holidays, getting in and out of hotel rooms or often on ships and going through busy shopping centres, I mean, it's great when you've got your feet up on the beach or whatever, but travelling around's also hard work, and that's let alone getting thrown around. So
there were times when I would be on the road 20-some days out of a 30-day month.
Wow.
I was doing professional wrestling matches.
Yeah.
I was doing cage fighting matches. I was teaching law enforcement. I was teaching corrections, high school wrestlers. There'd be some mornings that I would wake up, and as I'm rubbing the sleep out of my eyes, I'm looking around, and I have to think for a moment, where am I at?
Yeah, well, fortunately,
where am I at, and what is my function tonight? Am I stepping in a professional wrestling ring? Am I stepping into a cage? Am I stepping on a mat?
Yes.
Am I just doing a speaking engagement? So literally, that's how crazy it gets at times.
Yeah, well, you were busy, but also because you're so skilled in a number of different levels, like public speaking, just like Ken Shamrock, who was on the TED Talks and made a tremendous appearance, and then you've got the law enforcement, you've got the grappling, the coaching, all of that. So your services are in demand, but it also keeps your schedule very busy. But at the same time, one of the benefits, of course, you're able to make a sustainable living in the industry without having to take superplexes off the top rope in a professional wrestling ring 200 nights a year, because you've got a lot more skills and ability that make up you as the consummate professional wrestler and martial artist and trainer and everything else.
Nope, you're totally right. And that's where I watch. Again, you have athletes in all types of different variations of what they do. I always refer to professional wrestling as some of the most incredible athletes doing some of the most incredible athletic maneuvers without the aid of a safety net. But it's also this 3-ring circus with a side freak show. So you have people work tag teams. You have some people doing singles.
Yeah.
You got the flyers. You got the scientific wrestlers. You got the masked men. You got the giants. You got the midgets. You got the doink the clowns. I mean, it's the female wrestlers, the female tag teams. It's such a carnival atmosphere that there should be something on that card that appeals to basically anyone watching.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I saw on the list on the marquee, Shamrock versus Severn, just down the road here in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, I thought, I ain't going to miss this. I didn't get my media pass, and I don't normally buy tickets to wrestling because, I mean, I'm on a budget, and I've seen hundreds and hundreds of matches over the years, Dan, over 40 years. But when I saw you versus Shamrock, I thought, here is a chance to see history, a couple of the greatest grapplers and MMA artists of all time. And that to me was just totally a can't miss. So, and quite a few other people there felt the same way. So it is a team effort, and that also gave exposure to some of the undercard. There was an extreme Japanese fellow, Takada. There was a couple of Aussies. There was some women. So it's a team effort, but you still generally need those headliners in professional sports.
So I would totally agree with you. There usually is supposed to be some type of a draw main event that should bring the people on in. You know, in Melbourne, the main event was the hardcore match that took place, and they did some very extreme hardcore things using plates of glass and the thumbtacks and the barbed wire and just the list goes on.
They featured some of that on what do you call it? Viceland, Vice. But I mean, to me, I understand it and I appreciate the art form, but to me, professional wrestling is what we saw the other night. You versus Shamrock.
Oh yeah, no, you're exactly right. That
was my WrestleMania. That was my Australian WrestleMania. Seeing a couple of the best in the world. We didn't need all the pyrotechnics. Your promo was great. But it's like, man, this is a friggin' awesome pro wrestling match, and that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, well, that's what Jim Cornette, when I first entered into the world of WWF, I was paired up with Jim Cornette to be my mouthpiece.
Yeah.
To where I didn't have to talk about nothing. All I had to do was just take care of business, and Jim Cornette was great. He would carry out a couple belts.
Yes.
And he talked about Dan Severn being the current NWA champion, Dan Severn being a 3-time UFC, the only Triple Crown champion in the UFC, no holds barred history and stuff like that. He got really frustrated with the creative team at WWF, and he would come in and he'd be almost like pulling his hair out of his head. He goes, this creative team. Well, I can't say some language he would say, but I
can imagine it. We listen to his podcast sometimes.
Yeah, well, he just made the comment that this creative team doesn't have a clue what to do with you, and he goes, you're the greatest thing to ever hit the world of professional wrestling. You go, you're a wrestler who can actually wrestle. Yeah. You're not going to sit there and cut promos. You're not going to sit there and just flex. He says you could simply go out there and just dismantle people with techniques.
Exactly. Now, Dan, we're going to have a quick break and we're going to be back with you in a moment to continue this historic interview with one of the world's greatest mixed martial artists, and many purists of pro wrestling say also professional wrestlers of all time. We'll be back in a moment, Dan, to continue our interview.